Okay, in this video, I'd like to go over something for the folks out there who have Sig Sauer style handguns, and they may be either just naturally weak in the hands or in the wrist due to stature, or maybe they're weak in the hands or the wrist due to disability or an injury of some kind. Now, of course, if you do have a disability or some type of condition that's preventing you from operating your firearm, the best thing to do is go out and try and replace that firearm with something that is better suited for your condition. That's why there's a lot of different models of firearms out there, and that's always the best thing to do. But in speaking with reality, it's not always possible for someone just to get up and just do that on a whim. So if you own a handgun like a Sig, more specifically a Sig like this P6 right here, that has this design, hammer, double action, single action with the decock, you want to learn how to use this tool the best you can until you can possibly get something better. Now, some of this, what I'm telling you, you can move over into different types of handguns. You just have to modify as accordingly depending on the design. But to get started, the first thing I'm going to go over is the decock. For a standard Sig like this right here, this P6, here's the decock, which is standard on a lot of Sigs. Basically, how you see it operated mostly is the gun is charged, and then your thumb on your primary hand right here comes down and decocks the gun. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you notice, in order to decock the gun, you have to turn the gun a little bit for most people. If you have a long thumb, long fingers, then you don't have to, but most people, like me, you have to turn the gun a little bit in your hand and decock. There's nothing generally wrong with that, and most people can do that, but in my opinion, there's a better way to do it that keeps the gun a little bit steady in your hands. You don't have to worry about that wasted movement of turning around, getting the gun off target, and decocking. So when you load the gun and you want to decock, put your support hand around, get a good solid firing grip, then reach with your support hand thumb, and then hit the decock like so. I'll go ahead and demonstrate again. See, I'm on target and the gun won't really move, and now my gun is decocked. It's a little bit less muscle movement needed to do that. It's a little bit more intuitive, and with practice you can just do it naturally and not even think about it. So that's one thing to think about. Now, the most problem people have, especially with Sigs, if they're weak in the wrist, weak in the hand, disabled, injured or whatnot, is loading the gun, racking the slide. The reason is that because this is a double action, single action, some people have an issue overcoming the hammer tension. And if you don't know what I mean, if you have a Sig or a double action, single action, hammer tension, if you take the gun and you just try and rack the slide, you can feel a lot of resistance as this hammer is cocked back. Now, if the hammer is already cocked back, rack the slide again, there's a little bit less resistance. So to deal with that, something that I think may help is if you have to load the gun, insert the magazine, come over with this portion of your thumb. Don't worry about the tip of your thumb. You have this nice wide surface area right here. Come over with that portion of the thumb, cock the hammer like so, then reach over like this behind the ejection port and charge the gun. Then you can reestablish two-handed grip, use your support hand thumb to decock. Some people like to use this method, but when you have weak hand strength, even with the hammer back, it's a lot easier to slip and short stroke the gun like so. Your hand is naturally stronger if you cup or if you use a grip like this and close your whole hand. That's why I prefer reaching over the gun. You're going to get a little bit more friction, a little bit more purchase, and while coming back with this hand, you're pushing forward with your primary hand, just like so. And you want to do it in an aggressive motion. I see a lot of people do this and try and ride the slide forward, maybe just because they're not familiar with the gun, but you're not going to break this gun. So you get your hand behind, and as hard of a motion as possible, and the gun will be loaded. And you can, of course, come back, use your support hand thumb, decock the gun. Along with that, once you've loaded your gun like so, And let's say this is a home protection scenario. You've placed it in your nightstand, dresser, closet, what have you. And you're going to use it. Another aspect on the Sig is it has a heavy double action pull. If you're weak in the fingers or in the hands, that could create an issue. This double action pull, you may have to really strain to get it to go off, and that's going to cause the gun to dip down left or right, and that's going to throw your first shot off. Your first shot is usually the most important shot. So to deal with that, remember, your gun is loaded. All you have to do when acquiring your grip, pulling it out of your nightstand or what have you, or your holster, with your support hand, use that meaty portion of the thumb again, cock the gun. Now you're in a single action mode. Just remember, if you're in a single action mode, you really have to be vigilant because it's a lighter trigger pull. You want to avoid negligent discharge at all cost. So remember, as you're pulling the gun, use the meaty part of your thumb, cock the hammer, get into your good firing grip, address the threat you have, and if the threat ceases to become a threat, without taking your pistol off that potential target, support hand thumb, decock. And there you go. So, I'm not an expert with this stuff, but I figured it might be worth putting out there because there's a lot of people out there that have issues with handguns. They're either just naturally a little bit weak in the hands, wrists, and arms, or something has happened. One scenario is if you're going through cancer treatment. If you're going through cancer treatment, maybe having a lot of chemo, something like that, that tends to weaken the body quite a bit. Well, you still have to defend yourself if somebody comes in your house. In fact, you might be a target. If somebody can obviously tell you're in a weakened state, you might end up as being a target. So, with that said, you still need to be able to operate what you have. Now, obviously, the best option is to get something that's more suited for you and your condition. But, as I said before, that's not always something that you can do in reality. Finances are the way they are. You can only do what you can do. So I hope this has helped some people. I encourage other people to put out videos like this. It's one thing I don't see a lot of on YouTube, is I see a lot of the tactical videos. A lot of the hoorah tactical videos. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do the same thing. I like watching them and I put them up every now and again also. But I'd like to see videos focusing more on people that might have a disability, that might have some issues either due to age, injury, disease, or just being naturally weak in the upper body, which prohibits them from firearm manipulation. I'd like to see more videos dealing with that, because there's a good amount of people, I think, out there that they deserve to take care of themselves. And I think there's ways to overcome their barriers if we just look into it a little bit. So, all right, thanks a lot for watching. As always, stay safe. And if you have a video response or a comment, feel free to leave it. If you have a better way than this, especially for SIGs or any other handgun in general, please post it. Put it as a video response. I'll approve it, because I think the more information out there, the better. So thanks a lot for watching.